Hi, my name is Tiffany Fraunfelter, and I'm doing my presentation on the Samoan language. So the Samoan language is a Polynesian language, and it's spoken mainly in Western Samoa, right on the top of this equator line here, and American Samoa at the bottom of this picture here. It's also spoken in Fiji, Tongan, Hawaii, New Zealand, Australia, and the US. And about 420,000 people speak the language. Now, there's little published works on the exact history of the phonology of the Samoan language, but as you can see here, they do have a diagram, and it shows that their alphabet is a lot smaller than the English alphabet, but they still have all the vowels that we have. It's a complex sound system, even with the deceptively small amount of phonemes. Vowels can be long or short, and they're usually marked with a macron, or a line, over the vowel. The letters K, H, and R are also used, but only in foreign loanwords. Syllables consist of a vowel or a consonant plus a vowel, and consonants never appear together or in syllable final position. This dash mark over here at the end is a glottal stop, and L is pronounced as a tap or a flap following the back of vowels such as A, O, and U, and preceding the vowel I. In colloquial speech, N is sometimes pronounced as ing, and T is pronounced sometimes as a K. And U is pronounced like a W only when following a vowel. Alright, morphology. Like many Austronesian languages, Samoan has separate words for inclusive and exclusive we, as you can see on the table here. And they also distinguish singular, dual, and plural. The root for inclusive pronouns may occur in the singular, and in which case it indicates emotional involvement in the part of the speaker. So vowel length is, in Samoan, all 5 vowels have a long form denoted by the macron. For example, here, tama versus tama with a macron on it. The first one means boy or child, while the second one means father. So that little dash can make all the difference in what the word means. The combination of U followed by a vowel in some words creates a sound of the English W, and a letter not part of the Samoan alphabet. A is reduced to only in a few words, the sound. Yes, and let's see. Consonants in formal Samoan is used in like news broadcasts or sermons. The consonants like T, N, and the ing sound are used. The glottal stop, which is that dash mark right here, can also change the meaning of a word. So the first word meaning from, and the second one with the dash mark means sickness or illness. Foreign words or loan words from English and other languages have been adopted in the Samoan phonology, such as K, which sometimes keeps its sound k, as well as, let's see, h, and h keeps its sound only in proper names. Other letters like D becomes the sound T, and G becomes the sound K. Z becomes the sound S, so like Zachariah and Zachariah. W becomes a U sound, and B becomes a P sound, which I thought was kind of funny. So we have butter, and they have pata. So, in their syntax, there are 4 different types of word order. We have verb, subject, object, verb, object, subject, subject, verb, object, and object, verb, subject. So you can see how this could be really confusing for someone learning English, where we only have usually the one type. And I have all of the phrases here talking about a girl going to a house. So the first being, in the English translation, would be went girl house. The second, went house girl. Third, house went girl. And the last one being girl went house. And to them, any one of these variations makes sense in their language. I found this cool link during my research about the Samoan language, and they're actually recordings of Samoans speaking their language. They're MP3s that you click on. There's different greetings and recordings of how they say their alphabet, and this was all taken by the Samoan Peace Corps in what I'm guessing is Australia, because they kind of have an Australian accent. And you can tell it's definitely on some sort of farm because there's chickens and roosters in the background. It's a really cool website to visit. Alright, so next up is the Samoan culture as far as teaching goes. For their education, children respect their elders and are expected to start being independent and help around the house at about age 5, whatever that may be, like chores, not exactly getting a job or anything. And they're not supposed to question their elders at all. So in theory, as a teacher, these would be your dream kids if everything went according to plan. Their schools are split into sections just like America, so that wouldn't be too much of a culture shock for them. They have elementary, middle school, or junior high and high school. And they also have college, and they hold college in just a high respect as we do in America. So as far as that goes, it's not too different. Religion-wise, I thought was really interesting was almost all Samoans are Christian, and their schooling and government and their way of life is all linked to the religion. There's no separation, and I thought this would be very interesting for teachers to try to handle and be sensitive to some of the things they teach because of their religion and how much they practice it on a day-to-day basis. Activities and games to help them learn the English language. I found one that would be very helpful for primary grades or elementary school, and it's called Falling Clouds, and it helps them rearrange words to make a whole sentence, and it helps them learn word order and how sentences are structured. So once they get all of the words together, it makes a little sound and all the clouds float away and they get to go on to the next level. And it's really interactive and fun to play around with. The second link I have up here, this is a great site for like middle school or even high school grades who need to learn things like tenses, articles, adjectives, adverbs, verbs, nouns. Each game is specific to each part of speech, so one game will only be focusing on adjectives, for example. And these are also very interactive, fun to look at. There's a lot of things that move around, and I think this would be very motivational for children learning the English language, not just the Samoan language. Then my last link is more for maybe older students or adults that are trying to hone in on their pronunciation of the English language. They can play interactive games such as a matching card game where they flip over a card and all you hear is the word and you have to match it up with another card that says the same word. So it's purely audio and they have to really concentrate on how they're hearing the words to match them up. I didn't find too many challenges for the Samoan language, but of course, first being we do have more letters in our language than theirs, so of course they would have to memorize a lot more letters, and also the different sounds that go with the letters. Some of theirs have multiple sounds for the one letter, so they'll definitely have to work really hard to remember which sound goes to which letter and kind of differentiate, like the one letter is actually 3 letters in our language with 3 different sounds. And of course, the English language only uses the one word order of subject, verb, object, where they can use the 4 different types of word order. What I think is really important for teachers teaching the English language to Samoans and any kind of student learning English is that the more engaging the lesson is, the easier it is for them to learn. And if it's got songs and dances and making it physically interactive, they have proven that it's been a lot easier to teach them English this way. I read this through an article that I'll show you later, where they wrote an article about what activities they found were more effective than others. Also, what is important for teachers to know when dealing with Samoan students and their culture-wise is students may be receiving corporal punishment at home for misbehavior. So things like spankings and kind of like a spanking stick or something for whenever they're not doing what they're supposed to. And as a teacher, I would just be aware of this and be sensitive to it. My resources, some really good, reliable sources here. The first being more into the language. This website goes into detail about how the language works as far as syntax, morphology, and phonology. And the second one goes really deep into their culture. And I thought this was a really good website because it gives you information on everything from the history to the food to the education. I thought it was very useful to my project, and it could be very useful to teachers when trying to get acclimated to the culture. The challenges of teaching English, this is where I found the article that goes into how the students were taught and how effective it was and what worked really well for them, such as making songs and dances to go along with books or silly sentences to help them better pronounce words. And the last one is a really in-depth article, more of like a study of the theory of how the sound system of the Samoan language evolved. So there's a bunch of charts on there about the phonology, and it's really interesting to see how people came to the conclusion they did about the sound system of the Samoan language. Alright, now I will be connecting the handout to this presentation, and thank you for listening.